Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This is going to be my prize wall breakdown for the Dorya prize wall. Now, whether it's good or not, is going to depend specifically on your faction, right? If your faction maxes a bunch of milestones, and if you saved your currency to turn in for 400, then it's a good prize wall. If those things aren't the case, then it's probably not really good for you, right? So yeah, I'm not going to debate whether it's good or bad kind of thing. I'll just try and give my advice on what I would do, what I'm going to do, sort of thing, right? So I want to say of all the posters, the cards, by far the easiest one to run without extras is OTC. I did an updated video on him yesterday. I highly recommend checking it out. If you get to 700, hands down, he's the choice. I think if you get to 900, hands down, he's the choice. I don't think it's close. I would rather have him than both of these, for example, both Muscle Man and Solo. OTC can hit for 90 million plus with just a strap, right? He's very, very, very strong. Um, I almost always would say take rare plates over take a rare card, like almost always. OTC might be an exception if you're an account that has trouble running stuff, because you can get, and again, if that's the case, and when I say running stuff, I mean running stuff at max potential. If that's the case, before you make a choice, go watch my video on OTC to see what he hits without stuff, right? So I think he's the rare exception for me. My free to play would uh take him over like any of the plates available. My free to play would, right? Um and now on Mherex, I would not take him over the plates, even if I didn't have him. Because I have better strikers, and I have and to have better strikers, you really need stuff, really good stuff, right? With nothing, Roman is the best striker. I think I feel comfortable saying that. If you have nothing but a strap and medals on your account, even all free to play trainers, Roman is the best striker. I feel pretty comfortable saying that, in my opinion, right? So I think that's number one. If you get to 700 and you have that kind of account, that's the clear choice. Now, if you have an account with lots and lots of stuff, if you have other awesome strikers and you get to 1200, then the plates I think are all in play. I think like if you don't have any of them, certainly all of the rumbles um I would take over recruiting a new superstar other than Roman, except for if you have a bunch of stuff, right? I think all of the Rumbles are more impactful than any of these. That's just my personal opinion. My free to play, uh, if I get to, you see, I'm at 810. If somehow I get to 1200, I'm taking a plate over any of the other posters. Hands down, not a question for me. And Mherex has all the posters, so there's that. Now, where it kind of gets interesting or difficult, if you have Ray with gear already, I think that's the only case you can really make for the Electric Wind God Fistplate, because it's so niche with needing to break immobiles and only making greens. If you have Ray with gear, then I think this plate makes sense. If you don't have Ray with gear, then I think you just go right back to any of the other plates, to be honest. Any of the other plates. Um, the Jaguar chain plate, I haven't tested it a ton. I haven't looked through everything, so take this with a grain of salt. It's not my final verdict. But right now, it only looks decent for King, and I would only think about it if I had King with gear. Does that make sense? Right? Like, otherwise, I don't think it's super game changing. Other than King with gear, it's very strong for sure. Um, because it's also pretty niche, where you only get yellow gem and blue move damage from Juggernauts, right? So also pretty niche. In particular, it's great on King. because you can proc it twice, get nice big boomy boom on the multiplies with the gear. So King, it's great. Everyone else, the rage plate on the other wall is significantly better on everybody, pretty much, because it's any color, right? So it's got way more landing spots. In yellow specifically, there's very few people doing juggernauts in yellow gem. Um, so I'm not super impressed with the Jaguar chain plate. I would say most accounts, the Devil's Drip, if you don't have one, to pair with your Yeet plate is for sure the way to go on most accounts, right? So I would say that. Uh, I don't like any of these plates for the pricing. This one you can get in the Showdown shop. This is a sub plate, and this one is only useful on a few people, mainly Hall of Fame Ron. And that's if you're, mainly Hall of Fame Ron. So, yeah. I think, like I said, any of these four are clearly the choice over these. Ministry plate works on a ton of people and it's great, but it only adds 100%. And Viscera plate is like for two people, mostly Viscera and Cena. There's a few other people, SE, Acro, Cena. But I have one and I don't use anyone actively with it. So take that for what it's worth. I would use it on Viscera, but I don't have hype for him. And there's other powerhouses I prefer in most game modes currently. So again, take that for what it's worth. I'm a big Smash guy, in general, especially if you have his gear. So I think that's kind of like my initial thoughts, right? Now, if you have OTC and you don't get enough for a plate and you're like, but you get to like 900 for a big plate, like, Mherex, should I take Coco, Viscera, Bray, Solo? Honestly, um, Solo and Bray are the worst fighters. Viscera and Coco are really good. They do need stuff, potentially. Viscera probably needs less because his trap gem build you can run without plates, and it's got a bunch of unblockable. So Viscera, I would say, is the best for most accounts because you don't need crazy stuff to run the trap build. Um, and Coco has really good builds if you have his Frankie plate, or in particular, his Leech Gem build is super fun with the Judgment Day plate. Um, so those kind of two things, kind of are really good for Coco. Kamala is actually really good, but you're going to want all of the move damage stuff in preferably his plate. And I don't have a lot of hype on him on Mherex, so I have trouble. I don't work him into my rotation. I don't use him at all. There's definitely better tricksters like Hall of Fame JBL, for example, um, and stuff like that, right? So, but he is very strong and he's move damage and he's super fun and super fast when you can use his move damage. He's also legendary trickster, which is a really short list. So there's that. But I would take any of the Rumble plates over Kamala, right? As for like Muscle Man and like Solo and Viscera, like I said, I would take Viscera for sure. And you can get some stuff out of Viscera without crazy plates. So I would consider Viscera over any of the 599 plates, except for potentially Devil's Drip if you don't have at least one. Now, my free to play has an interesting conundrum because it has two Yeet plates and only one Devil's Drip. So I am considering, if I don't get any more currency, do I take the Viscera or do I take the second Devil's Drip? So in my case, I think I probably would lean Viscera, because I think how many shards I am away from Viscera, which is all of them basically, versus when I'll see another Devil's Drip on a Prizewall. I think, and because I already have one, I think is pretty solid, right? Also, the two people I'm mostly going to use my Yeet plate on would be JD McDonough and Lyra, and they can share an Irish strap, or JD McDonough and Raquel if I ever get her leveled up, which she's way on the back burner at the moment, in which case they can share a powerhouse strap. So I don't feel pressured to get a Devil's Drip right now, so I think Viscera would probably help my account more short term. Of the cheaper plates, the Shades of Rains is really good on like Turtle Ray, because it adds 100% more gem damage on cross breaks. It's obviously not as good as any of the new cross break plates, um, like the rainbow, which is hard to get, the crossfires, or the specific colors when someone makes all of one color. But it is rainbow, so it does have some decent potential there. So I do like that pricing. I actually prefer the Pig Boy. I find more usage for it than I do the RK Overload. For example, uh, Macho, if you don't have a Yeet Drip, NWO Macho, you can do decent damage with Down the Rabbit Hole and Insatiable Hunger combo. And Insatiable Hunger you can put on people like Nikki Cross, Howdy, you know what I mean, and get some stuff out of it. Pig Boy himself, Huskus potentially. It's not great. RK Overload has almost no useful spots in my opinion. Again, these ones I all dislike them. Although if you want to run Naomi triple green with the sub, it hits really hard, but it's a sub to set up. This definitely adds to that build set. I don't like it. I wouldn't try to get it on either character. Same with any of the sub plates right now. I wouldn't try to get them. If it's leftover, sure. But I would take characters over them, right? So there's kind of that. The econ is all don't touch this unless you have just leftover stuff, right? Now, it gets really hard to decide on the gears. I think the gears is a really tough choice. King gear is an easier choice if you get to 9.99 and if you have OTC, but you don't get to the rumble spots, right? Like I think I would probably on the free to play have a hard time not taking the king gear if I got to 1,000. But on the flip side, I could also get Viscera and Solo. So it's harder. However, I do think King with gear, even on the free to play, can hit quite hard. So that would be really, really difficult for me to pass up. Um, but I do have OTC, and I would take Viscera and Solo over Birdman. I also think on my free to play, Viscera is a better play than Birdman as well. Full disclosure, I'm not really interested in Muscle Man Bray. If you have OTC, yeah, I mean, like, I have no reason to use him other than he's a legend striker, which would be helpful for Legend Era for sure. Um, but that's it. So now, if the free to play does get to somehow by some miracle 1,200, I'm taking a Rumble plate for sure, or the Ring of Royalty, which I consider a Rumble plate as well. Probably the Ring of Royalty because I can make it work in more places, if that makes sense. In particular, I have Live, Technician Live, right? So free to play, if it gets to 1,200, would be looking at that. Um, of the Rumble plates, Muda is the purple for sure. Blue is Dudinator for sure. Dudinator's ridiculous with the blue, absolutely insane. And black, there's a few people like Yeet J potentially. Also, Dirty Dom if you don't have the Rainbow X break. The Black Royal Rumble is great on Dirty Dom, Striker Dom. So that's kind of whatever you think is best. I would say I would like Mherex has one of every Royal Rumble, and my free to play would eventually love to get one of every one. I think that should be a goal in general for your account. If you don't have Royal Rumbles, try and get them because they are very useful in a lot of game modes. In particular, they up people's damage quite a bit, which is important these days with hype, potentially overhype, also showdown, and now we're starting to see more and more moments stacking health. So sometimes you need to punch through more health. So I would definitely recommend everybody try and get at least one of these. Ring of Royalty is super useful in Titan for recycling movesets. That's its big boon, really, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, I think that's kind of mostly my thoughts. I think the Kazooie gear in general is just a really hard sell unless you got the Electric Wind Godfist plate already. Like I think and so is the King gear unless you have most of the other stuff already or you get to that range where you're at 1,000 but not 1,200. I do think I probably, and I might regret it, but I think the free to play, if I get, 190 more, which I doubt I will, um, I do think I might take the King gear on the free to play because I want to take him gold anyway for the trainer. It would make him pretty useful and pretty fun at Acrobat on the free to play, right? So I do think that. But in general, I think this is mostly just for King and really only if you have his gear. Um, and you can also use the Rage Plate to substitute in to very nice effect as well, which is better other places too. So these two are like, I think, pretty difficult cells. This, I think, is only if you already have this for Ray. This, if you have everything else on the wall, like, except, like, you know, if you have one of the rumbles, I could see, honestly, I could see taking this if I didn't have one of these, right? Or any of or these. I do think I could see that. I also could see that over the posters of anyone other than like maybe OTC, right? Um, but you really want either this or a Green Royal Rumble to go with it. You could get away with a Ring of Royalty a little bit with a Maze Crown. So you could also run Kazua with a Maze Crown in the Ring of Royalty, and I think you could probably get away with it. You could also run Ray with a yellow Royal Rumble and a Maze Crown, and get more greens out. Those are and or a green Royal Rumble. So if you have any of those, you don't really need this, and then you could run Ray and hit super hard as well, with those potentially. Um, yeah, it won't always hit, but it almost always will hit. The 30. So that's why this is nice because it works on a mobiles and you'll get it for sure every time. So I think that's kind of the main things with the prize wall, right? How I would prioritize it on both accounts. So Mherex has basically everything, and I want to grab the king gear um, for him. So I would do that, right? But also take into a combination what you might be able to get on this wall. So don't rush your choices. Kind of wait to see where you get, right? Like you could snag the Rage Plate instead of the Jaguar Chain. If you get here, you know, maybe you grab the Royal Rumble you're looking for potentially, right? So do remember that you have other options as well. But with this, so much is dependent on your account and your needs. But I think the answer for most people, if you get there, OTC will change your account. He really will because he doesn't need much. So I think he, for most accounts out there, probably 80% of the accounts is the right choice, no matter where you get on currency. Um, I just think he's going to be more impactful than simply one of these. Exception might be if you love Muda and you want to throw a purple rumble on him. But don't forget for Muda, he can also hit super hard with, I think it's called the Titanium Plate, break 4 green, get 10 purple in the Twilight Ritual. He still hits very hard with that. Um, and Dudinator doesn't necessarily need the off the ropes plate, but I mean, if you have Dudinator, you know, you're kind of a spender anyway, most likely unless you got super lucky. So like I said, I think in most cases Roman is just the right choice, because he's already gold too, so you won't have to be able to bring him up. You can get his hype in the Titan store. It shows up, at least at my league on both accounts. So at least at League 17 it shows up in the Titan store, on top of using wildcard and stuff. So he's a really good choice. Along that note, so does Viscera. Viscera hype shows up in there, and I believe Solo does too. So if you're wondering about hype in the Titan store, I know these two show up, and I believe Solo does too. Pretty certain Solo shows up there too. So a little bit easier to obtain hype for those three, than the other ones. So yeah, I kind of think that's most of the breakdown. I put very little value on the Viscera plate personally, although it's fine on Viscera if you want to run that move set. If you have the moment and you want to run the multiply moveset, then it's quite good on Viscera. I do think that's the best spot for it. Cena can miss occasionally with the cross breaks, SE Cena, so I don't love that build on Cena personally. And then this is good on tons and tons of people, but I wouldn't call it, it's more of an enhancer than a game changer because it's only adding 100%. These, I put little value on any of these. Situationally, some value on these. This is really good value. I personally don't put value on this, but I could see it. No. Okay value, but way less once the crossfires came out. Um, I feel like Roman is the clear choice, and then as far as most accounts, you'll probably do the best with Viscera, with the trap builds. To be honest, especially with all the new trap coach options, he gets even stronger with that build. So if you don't have a lot of stuff, Viscera, if you get to 600 but not 700, you can do a lot there. And these are just kind of nice to have, so more than they're, none of them are like account changing. So I would probably rate of the cards 1 and 2 for most accounts. Now if you have crazy stuff, still 1, I think. And probably still 2, right? But then these are much closer, and these fall off quite drastically. So yeah, wait till the end. You never know what's going to happen in your faction. Do think this is really good value. If you don't have one and you have a heat plate, you may look very hard at this, right? So that's my breakdown. I hope it helps, guys. That's my thought process. Ray with gear and this plate hits ridiculously hard. Also, you're likely to get a lot of hype if you do Titan every day, because the first month they come out like this, there's a higher chance of hitting Ray. So, like, I think I have enough on the free to play to take him 2 already. Mherex has enough for him to be at 3. So, you know, Ray hype and this, but you really want both of these for Ray. So it's kind of a hard to put together at this point in the game. I do think these are clearly Tekken branded. They say Tekken 8 across them. So I feel like the gears are only ever likely to be offered in a crossover event. I feel like the plates have a real chance to be offered other times, because I don't see Tekken 8 branding on them, right? So these, I think, are definitely much more likely to only ever be on a Tekken event if you want to FOMO and play around that. And these, I think, are you're likely to see more often. Now, that's no guarantee. It's not inside info. That's just how I think it will go and how I look at it. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you're going for. If you are, hopefully you're in a faction that's getting some milestones and you can pick something. There is a lot of good stuff potentially at different breakdown price points, right? So as long as your faction gets a few milestones and you get some luck, or decent luck, maybe you can come away with something decent to nice without you having to do a decent amount of spending. But it's, you know, these faction spend ones are always kind of rough. And I don't love seeing them in the game. So yeah. Anyway, let me just think. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Good luck out there. And I hope you have a really good rest of the week. I think it's, what is it, Wednesday today? So it's hump day. Get over that hump and look forward to the weekend. We have a feud that we know nothing about.